With all of America focused on the 2024 NFL Draft coming up, and with potential superstars like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and company in this year's draft, it's time to talk about one of the most underrated players, and in my opinion, the best player, not just in the SEC, but also in college football as well. So I already mentioned Jaden Daniels already. He wins the Heisman Trophy last year, but he wasn't number 7. To me, he wasn't the best player on LSU's offense last year. That title goes to Will Campbell. 6'5", 325-pound offensive lineman from Neville, graduated in the same year as me. And this guy is an absolute stud. First team All-SEC last year, freshman All-American, should have been an All-American this year. I think he is that good. He will probably be a top 5 draft pick going into the 25 draft. Now, when you add that alongside Miles Frazier, Garrett Dellinger, he is going to be a difference maker for this LSU offense. It all starts with him. It all starts with him and Emory Jones. Those two guys have been the difference makers for this team. There's a reason why this offensive line was a Joe Moore Award finalist last year. And you saw it on the field. The way that they got off the line of scrimmage, the way that they blocked, the way that they were in pass protection, the way that they picked up their assignments. It was amazing. And the biggest leader on there is number 66, a.k.a. number 7 when he wears it on his patch. But he is a guy that people need to start paying attention to. Not a lot of people look at the offensive line, honestly. They don't pay attention to it enough. But many people don't understand. Yes, you may look at the athletes like Jaden Daniels, like Malik Neighbors, like Brady Cook, like Jalen Milroe, like Carson Beck, guys like that. But not many people really underestimate the value of the offensive lineman. That's why you see guys in the NFL, guys like Trent Williams and company. That's why you see them getting paid the big bucks for that. That's what you're going to see from Will Campbell. I think that this guy is a guaranteed top 5 pick next year if he keeps up the same consistency that he has since his freshman year at LSU. I think if he had played all 13 games in his freshman year, he's a first-team All-SEC. He should have started. I think he got benched, or I shouldn't say benched. I don't think he started week 1 against Florida State, but I think he did after – I want to say after the either that game or after the Grambling game in 22. That's when he took over as the full-time starter. But this guy is a stud at left tackle. When you put him on an NFL franchise, that is a franchise cornerstone that you need. And looking at this 25 draft class, the offensive line room is not deep. But you're just focused on the athletes. You're talking about Shedeur Sanders. You're talking about Travis Hunter, Carson Beck, the Harold Perkins, the guys like that, and you don't really notice the offensive line until you get into the 10s to 15s. Right now, according to WalterFootball.com, he's projected to go number 10 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or whoever. But this is a big-time need that every NFL franchise needs, and Will Campbell is a great example of that. I think Emory Jones is also a good offensive lineman. I remember watching him whenever he was at Catholic. I thought he was great there. I remember watching Will Campbell at Neville. Even better. So when you look at those two, I think, by the way, Emory Jones is probably, depending on how he does this year, late first-round pick, maybe early second round. Draft stock could raise up, by the way, up this upcoming season. But it all starts with number 66 on the edge. He's a guy that nobody pays attention to. He's a guy that, according to Pro Football Focus, he's 5th among all eligible FBS offensive linemen in run blocking. He had an 84.9 this past season. And for offensive linemen, they go by percentages on how they block. So it ranges from, I think, 60 to like 100%. So if you have an 84.9, you're among one of the best. He is the 5th most valuable Power 5 offensive tackle since 2022. Three of the players above him, Joe Alt, Talise Fuaga, and J.C. Latham, all will be potential first-round draft picks this upcoming draft. There's no doubt that this guy is the leader for this LSU team. You're going to have to replace guys like Jaden Daniels. You're going to have to replace a Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. You're going to have to replace guys like that. And it's going to have to start with Will Campbell. It's going to have to start with him. He's going to have to step up and be that new leader. And he's shown that so far in training camp. When you see him in spring practice, this is a guy that's going to be leading drills. He's a guy that's going to really elevate that offensive line group. When he got named at number 7, everybody looked right at him because he was going to be the leader of that group. Now when he takes a step up this year, don't be surprised because this dude is a legitimate top 5 player in the draft this upcoming year, and he's also, in my opinion, the best player in college football. Now, before we continue on any further, guys, I want to talk to you about our friends over at RHOBACK Activewear. If you guys haven't heard of them, you have to check them out. It's safe to say that we would bet on these guys any day of the week because we absolutely love their gear. We couldn't be more pumped to work with RHOBACK. It is simply the most comfortable gear that we own. And speaking of some gear, they actually just released their Azalea collection. So it's the best time of the year. Designs are just too good. Trust me when I say that there is nothing better than wearing an Azalea shirt for a spring tea time. RHOBACK's performance polos are the most comfortable polos out there. Moisture wicking with 4-way stretch, making them perfect for a game day and have the perfect fit. With crisp collars that don't lose their shape, we couldn't recommend these polos more. So, ain't no need for all the wrinkles as well. In all honesty, RHOBACK's been gaining traction big time with guys such as Jalen Milroe and LSU's former coach and Orgeron as well. So go ahead, guys, check them out now. Use code SECU on RHOBACK.com. Give you 20% off your first purchase. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. 20% off all bottoms, polos, hoodies, and more with the code SECU. So obviously with the solar eclipse coming up tomorrow, which would be the 8th of April, whenever it does happen, this is what Will Campbell reminds me of. It's kind of a weird context, but let me explain. When I watch him, when you see a solar eclipse, it almost blocks out the entire sun, okay? So it gets kind of dark. That's what it is when he defends the blind side of a cube. When you see an outside edge rusher coming off the ball during pass pro, especially when he tries to chop off, Will's hands are so good at staying at his hips and being able to attack the dude's outside shoulder whenever he does attempt to chop, and his ability to come alongside with this other hand and kind of do like a forklift on him and put him in the dirt, that's what he does so well. When you watch his footwork, he doesn't take big steps back going up against a fast guy. And when he does, he doesn't open his hips. He doesn't open his chest up, because when he does, as a defensive lineman, when you see a chest, you're thinking you're going to long arm a guy or you're going to go speed to power on him. Because when your chest is up, that means your back is arched, all your weight is on the back of your heels, and you have no balance. You don't ever see that from Will Campbell. And that's what he brings to the table so well. When you watched him go up against Dallas Turner against Alabama this past year, he is so good when he was so good, especially defending pass rush. He did excellent. Even when Jaden was holding the ball for too long, it didn't matter, because his ability to maintain leverage, be able to not let that outside shoulder get free, because Turner tried to get speed to power on him. He did it like at least 5 or 6 times on one drive alone, and it never worked. And other times, whenever he did get past him, Turner was way past quarterback depth. And with Jaden Daniels' legs, it was over with from then on. To me, Will Campbell is the best player in college football. He's a franchise cornerstone that can make a difference at offensive line. And I guarantee you this. Wait until he gets out of his rookie deal out of the NFL. That dude is about to get at least $100 million paycheck coming his way in the NFL.